going to be exposing a really big secret of mine because the lead up to this talk has been absolutely challenging. It's going to be the first time I'm exposing my biggest secret. The feeling of not being smart enough. I was adopted, and just proving my self-worth was everything in my life. My mother had me when she was 18 years old, and my grandfather, man of the Catholic Church, said to her, "Sissy, what's happening with you is that you are straight. You're basically having this child, then going straight to school and getting a degree." So, true story, this happened. Fikile was born. Oh, is that my picture? Yeah, me in the red. With my red school bag as well. Fikile was born, and I was passed on to my grandparents, and from there onwards, I was adopted to my biological mother's older sister. Now, this was a common thing amongst black families, especially during the time of apartheid, because the whole point there was to uplift the family, create opportunity for each other. I believe on Twitter we call it black tax, but that's a conversation for another day. What was uncommon was the actual legalities of my adoption. My mother and my father were studying in England. It's my adopted parents now, my aunt and uncle. They were studying England and so got jobs that side. So that's why legally I got adopted at 4 years old. How I found out that I was adopted is terrible for any child, I think. I was 9 years old, and if you've ever watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding, that's how big our family is. So just the Christmas gatherings, I would be there playing with my aunt, with my sisters and my other cousins. And then a relative would come up to me and go, "Fikile, upo mamako." And I'd be like, which in Xhosa means, "Fikile, where's your mother?" So I would point to the only mother that I knew, and she'd be like, "No, man, I mean Pumeza." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's my biological mom." I'm like, "She's in the kitchen." So I was like, "Whoa, what just happened there?" So they kind of did this by accident, but they didn't realize that I kind of started knowing already. And eventually, when the next relative came, I just started pointing in two directions. It literally just made my life a whole lot easier. Education is everything in our family, and the pressure of changing the status quo in our one generation was what my grandparents fought for and what my great-grandparents fought for. Just to show you how intense education was, I'd like you to meet my grandmothers. This is grandmother one, my late grandmother, the teacher. She was the Mother Teresa of her community. She started off teaching extra English lessons at our home. Then I woke up one morning and all of a sudden there was assembly hymns being sang in the garden. Then grandmother two is actually here today. Hi, Grandma. The doctor. She is a diligent go-getter that was probably one of the first medical female doctors in South Africa, black female doctors. She struggled with this because it was a male-dominated industry at the time, of course, but she was able to overcome this and became a personal doctor to kings, queens, and presidents. I'm not kidding. Ask her after this, promise you. So literally went from village girl to being a medical doctor, and this was all done because of one teacher that believed in her determination. Then there's grandmother three, the diplomat, the social activist, the rebel, the true comrade, who started off standing outside her school because Bantu education was in play at that time and she didn't want any part of it. She went from there to standing next to former presidents, freedom struggler icons, becoming a freedom struggler icon herself. My grandparents, or should I say my grandmothers, were basically Oprah. It's true. This was my first step to feeling inadequate, this insecurity that I had, because these ladies came from a school of hardship, discipline, and no excuses. My second step to feeling a little bit inadequate was what my perception of smart actually was. In 1990, if you saw a little black girl running around Brent Cross Shopping Centre in north of London, unaccompanied, that was me, because I was an explorer. My parents, from a very early age, knew that my independence was my gift. What they didn't realize every single day after that was what accompanied that gift was my determination to fit into their family. It was very important for me. I felt a little bit like a black sheep because I had an older sister who was extremely smart, top of her class all the time, and I wasn't. So I just knew if I tick the smart box, then I'm definitely going to fit in. With this new insecurity, my perception of smart, as you can hear, was completely warped. Just alone in this room, how many of you are doctors? Put your hand up. I know you, Grandma. But anyone else who's a doctor, put your hand up, okay? And they're scientists? Ooh, there we go. PhDs? So those that put your hand up, you guys were going places. The rest of you, not so much. That was my concept. That was my idea of what smart was. I thought that hanging around with PhD scientists, who else did I say? Medical doctors. I assumed if I hung out with you guys, your smart fairy dust would rub onto me and hopefully turn me into a scientist. As you guessed, that did not happen. My primary school grades were completely inconsistent, sometimes average, sometimes below average. I had to go home to my mother, who used to get frustrated with me because one day I was able to read a chapter or a paragraph flawlessly, and the next day I wasn't able to do that. I really struggled with reading, especially at the age of 8, where my sister was just flying. At this very moment, I used to hide away from my mother every time she came back because I wasn't sure if I was going to do well or not do well. She used to pull my ear as punishment, saying that I'm not listening. And all I remember is my ears burning, tears coming down my eyes, and a feeling of being frozen, embarrassed, and stupid. How many other kids probably thought like this is what I also thought later in my life? Because research says that anxiety in kids is completely different with anxiety in adults. Anxiety in adults normally comes from performance failure, it comes from the unknown, sometimes physical danger, or just negative evaluation from others. Whereas with kids, it has a lot to do with what your parents think. That's it. I didn't realize how much my adoption had actually affected me. And secondly, I was simply anxious. I wasn't stupid. By the time I reached high school, my grades were still not doing great. I tried to avoid anything that allowed me to be opinionated or thought-provoking because, goodness, what could I possibly contribute to anything? Stayed away from debating. It kind of contradicted this extrovert, explorer personality that I had. I needed to find an outlet, and I was very fortunate to be able to find that outlet actually in sport. I specifically got into swimming and water polo. Yes, this black girl swims. And I was able to find my voice in the water where people actually listened. And not only did they listen, my parents listened. I'll never forget the conversation that my mom had with my dad when she found out that I was really doing well in swimming. She was like, Tabo, 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 that's my dad's name. Tabo, 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 Fikile is doing so well at swimming. We need to get a pool in the back garden. We need ASAP. She needs to compete with these other white girls who have pools in their back garden. So that is how we eventually got a swimming pool in our back garden. And it may have been such a small decision then because they put a lot of finance, like they took their savings and got that pool in our back garden. But that small decision got me to play national and provincial water polo, playing 3 caps for the Springboks in Russia, Australia, and in Sweden. So thank you, Mom and Dad. I've kind of finally found my other smart. And I was able to confront this anxiety, which was amazing for me. I wanted to start breaking down more daring doors, and that's why at 19 years old, I stood in a queue for a nationwide TV presenter search with MTV, and I ended up winning the entire competition and becoming their very first female VJ at the time, a video jockey. Thank you. What was ironic, though, was this extrovert personality would meet this anxious personality behind the mic or in front of the camera. And they would kind of fight with each other because the extrovert absolutely felt comfortable, but the anxious personality just wanted to not say anything just in case I make a mistake and then I don't sound smart. I struggled with this insecurity for a while working in radio and working in TV for about 5 years. I also felt that I didn't really love my brand that much as a person. I wanted to do more. I wanted to offer more. I mean, coming from a powerful female, coming from a powerful family of just amazing women was enough for me as pressure as it was, but I felt like I wanted to do more. I decided to quit my career and everything that I'd worked for and go back to the root of my insecurity, making my biggest decision of all, heading back to school. I applied to numerous universities because I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it into any of these. And I finally got accepted into Columbia College Chicago with a rigorous application form, mind you. I ended up being the top student in my class, holding a GPA of 3.8 consistently, which was amazing for me even, trust me. And I was a member of their honor society, which is for students with a 3.5 GPA and up in 280 universities in the US. I was fueled with confidence. I had conquered the big one. And I ended up also transferring to NYU to do a summer camp there where we did leadership and management. I came back home and I was ready to restart everything. My career, I wanted to continue studying. I ended up coming to the Gordon Institute of Business Science and studying social entrepreneurship and graduating here. Because of that, because of my late grandmother's inspiration and everything that I'd gone through, that journey, I was able to start the Fix Scholarship, which number 1, focused on the awareness of social entrepreneurship, and number 2, gave bursaries to social agents around South Africa that just want to create change. We help them formalize their startups through education. For instance, Nhlanhla Khumalo, one of the people that inspires me absolutely, who's a Fix scholar, she was bullied at school because she was a bookworm. She was able to overcome that and now promotes literacy in South Africa, and not only that, she also just encourages kids to fall in love with books. And that inspires me every single day. Trust me, I look at my CV every time I go through my applications for the bursaries. I'm just like, wow, people do amazing, amazing stuff. Maya Angelou said that people will forget what you did and what you said, but one thing they'll never forget is how you made them feel. The feeling of opportunity is indescribable. I was able to get that opportunity. I want to help people find their swimming pool. I want to help people find their stroke. And most importantly, I just want to help people find their other smart like I did. Thanks.